Okay, folks, like I say, this is part 2, the King James Version Bible, the authorized version. We're going to start getting into how this Bible was all put together. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is the Hebrew alphabet and language, and the Greek alphabet and language, they're altogether different than the English and the Latin and a lot of your other alphabets and languages all over the world. Everybody has their own alphabet and stuff. You know, you can get this online at different places. You know, it has copies of the different alphabets. You have the Greek, the Paleo, the Hebrew, Latin. You got it all broke down, clear over to the end. We're going to be covering this part here, the U or the U, which is the Y. We're going to cover that in the Paleo. We're going to cover this as we start going through here. Sorry about the graphics. I got to get things made up a little bit better here for people to see once we get going, but just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, okay, through different languages. Across the top, we have the different ones. You have the regular alphabet, the Latin alphabet. You have the Hebrew, the Greek, what they mean, the Paleo. So. I'll give you places where you can go online and find those. One of the things I was going to tell you too is when it comes to learning about the King James Version Bible, all you have to do is through a Wikipedia search or just type it in. Just type in like www.av1611.org/KJV or King James Version Bible. Just 1611 King James Version Bible, and you will get the history. Type in history of the 1611 King James Version Bible. You will get the information, all the information. There's mountains of information out there on the internet. Be free to use it, because, you know, ignorance is not bliss, folks. So, getting back to the King James Version, the authorized version eclipsed all previous versions of the Bible. The Geneva Bible was last printed in 1644, but the notes of the Geneva Bible, they continue to be published with the King James text. So, you know, when the King James Version Bible was brought into existence, the Geneva Bible was last printed in 1644, and the King James Version Bible was actually put out there and issued in 1611. So the Geneva Bible, you know, but the notes continue to be published with the King James text. So you got to keep that in mind. The Geneva Bible wasn't just done away with. But the thing about it is the Geneva Bible had the changed Greek alphabet and name for the Messiah and for the Father also, for God the Father, the Almighty. They changed their name because there was no Greek alphabet that was capable of copying over the Paleo Hebrew. So they put their own letters in there, okay? And I can prove this. And like I said, use the internet. It's free. Go in there and do the history. That way you're not getting a theologian's pick on it, a preacher or minister's pick on it. Find out the history of the alphabet. Find out the history of the alphabet. Now, one of the things I want to cover is this. We're on this alphabet thing. One of the things I want to cover, you know, like I told you, there's so many different names for the Almighty and for His Son. Okay, the Messiah. Get this. The letter J. Have you ever wondered how old the letter J is? That's all you got to do is type this in. How old is the letter J? Or how old is the alphabet, or different letters of the alphabet. That's all you got to type it in. In doing this, you're going to find out something. You're going to say the letter J is only about, or a little more than 500 years old. Now you got to understand, the Messiah was over 2,000 years ago that he was here. Over 2,000. And the letter J is little more than 500. Little more than 500. Around 512 years. And it is a stretch and giving it a whole lot of grace to say it's been around for 600. But it hasn't been around for 600 years, folks. This means, at most, the letter J has only been around since the 1500s. We're 2013, folks. 2013. So, the letter J is starting to get a little older, but it's not over 2,000 years old. Okay, so now, and you can get answers to that too. You can do, type in how old is the letter J, or the alphabet. Just type it in. That's all you got to type in. How old is the letter J? Or where did the letter J come from? Type it in. Hey, you'll get a mountain of information that'll just blow your mind. And that's why the Father allowed this internet to come about in these last days, is so people would not be ignorant. And they wouldn't have to sit back and just listen to men say, well, this is what it really means. Really? Maybe what it really means is what it actually says. Find out. You don't take no man's word for nothing, including me. Don't take my word for it either. Check it out. How the history of the letter J. How old is the letter J? Type it in. You'll get your answer. It says, in the year 1011, a writer named Blyford ordered the Old English alphabet for numerological purposes. He listed the 24 letters of the Latin alphabet, including ampersands, like they'll use squares or triangles or different signs and things. First, then 5 additional English letters, starting with the Turonian note, which was like a 7, and an insular symbol for the end. Okay, now get this. Here's the alphabet. The alphabet was A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K. There was no J. L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, no U, V, no W, X, Y, Z. Then it had the shorthand signal for the letter and, the backwards 7, which was the insular, another letter that looked like a long drawn out P, and then you had these other Greek symbols. One was a D, an A, and an E, side to side. But there was no J, no U, and no W. Now, this is the English alphabet, okay? That they use in the year 1011. Okay. And you can read more about that. All you got to do is just type in the English alphabet. That's all you got to type in. English alphabet. Now, so we found out that the letter J is only 500 years old. Okay. Now, like I said, there was no J, no U, and no W. Now, how old's the W? That's all you got to do is type in how old is the letter W. It says in early Middle English, following the 11th century. Now, in 11th century, that means you're around 1001 to 1099 AD. Norman conquest, the double U, 2 U's, gained popularity, and by 1300, it had taken win. Instead of having 2 U's, they would use the word win, W-Y-N-N's, placed in common use. Okay? Now, the shift from the ligature to V's, okay, to the distinct letter W is thus gradual and is only apparent in apsidaria, okay, explicit listings of all individual letters. It was probably considered a separate letter by the 14th century. So the letter W didn't even come in to effect until possibly the 14th century. That's 1,400 years after the birth of the Messiah. 14th century. In both Middle English and Middle German, although it remained an outsider, not really considered part of the Latin alphabet proper, as expressed by Van Layton in the 16th century. So, it wasn't even considered a proper letter in the Latin alphabet until the 16th century. Now, most things is accepted in the Latin long before they're accepted in the English. So here we're looking at the letter W, wasn't even brought about till the 16th century. So you got the letter J. We're finding out it's only been around 500, a little over 500 years old. Now you got the W that's only been around since the 16th century, and even then it wasn't used. So what does that do to the way that we are pronouncing the name of the Father and the name of the Son? What are their true names? What are the true names? How do you spell their true names? If the letter J is only 500 years old, the letter W has only been around since the 1600s and even later, 1700s, because it wasn't even part of the proper Latin alphabet until even in the 1600s. So what does that say about how the name of the Father, Jehovah? How can it be Jehovah when that letter's never been around? That's like I say, if my name is Tom, it's T-O-M. Okay, so you don't have no T's in your alphabet, so what, you just make up a letter? No. You write it the way it was spelled out, even though it has a different alphabet. Vladimir Putin, in his Russian name, he spells his name, he uses the Russian alphabet to spell his name. When he signs his name, he uses that Russian alphabet. In history, when the history books talk about Vladimir Putin, his name will be written in Russian. And everyone will know. It says it means Vladimir Putin. How will they know that? They'll probably get a Russian concordance, I guess, or a Russian dictionary to find out what it means in Russian. So they'll know his proper name. It's the same thing that we should be doing with the Father and the Son. But you know what? We haven't. We didn't do that, did we? Satan, using mankind, corrupted the name of the Father and the Son when they started printing the Bibles. Just because a given alphabet wasn't given in that particular language, they changed the whole alphabet in the name of the Father and the Son. But get this, those were the only two names that were changed. Completely changed. Those were the only two names. On the other ones, they changed the first letters from a Y to a J, like Jerusalem, you're talking about Israel, as far as how it's pronounced. Jeremiah. That's what I'm saying. All these different ways that these names are pronounced were changed because of the way they changed the alphabet. And that should have never happened. It should not have been that way. Well, now we're going to start getting into the name. What does the King James Version Bible say about the sacred name? The name of the Father, the name of the Son.